Meet Mac. Comedian Bernie Mac died on Saturday, August 9, of complications from pneumonia. In the coverage of his death, the media has reported that in 1983, doctors diagnosed him with a mysterious ailment called sarcoidosis. His publicists say that his 3-week battle with pneumonia and his sarcoidosis were unrelated, and CNN reported earlier this week that Mac said his sarcoidosis had entered remission in 2005, but it can be fatal. Sarcoidosis of the heart and lungs were implicated in the death of Pro Football Hall of Famer Reggie White in 2004. People with the disease typically develop shortness of breath or a dry cough as inflammation cuts down on their lung capacity. The disease, which may infect up to 1 million people worldwide, affects ethnic groups differently. For example, in 80 to 90% of Caucasians who develop it simply disappears over time even without a treatment. Meanwhile, in African Americans, the disease progresses more aggressively, causing more symptoms and resulting in more hospital visits and longer courses of treatment. He died on 9th August. May his soul rest in peace. Stewart. Mel Stewart, who died aged 83, became widely known for directing two radically dissimilar films, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and What Says Tax. The former, which Stewart called the most rewarding experience of my career, was a garish and joyfully wrapped musical adaptation of Roald Dahl's novel Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Received without enthusiasm on its release in 1971, the movie became, over the next few decades, a children's favorite, though its psychedelic overtones extended its appeal beyond that core audience. Although I have been a filmmaker for over 40 years, Stewart wrote in 2001, Willy Wonka is one work that has reached out to and has been embraced by a wide audience. Stewart was born Stewart Solomon in New York to Edgar and Kekili Solomon. He graduated from New York University in 1949 with the intention of becoming a composer. Instead, he ended up working at an advertising company, then as an assistant to the avant-garde director Mary Ellen Bluth. His next job as a film researcher on the CBS television series The 20th Century foreshadowed the direction his career would take. In 1959, the producer David Wolper invited Stewart to join a new West Coast documentary production company he had founded. In 1964, Stewart won an Emmy Award for directing The Making of the President, 1960 about John F. Kennedy. He received further Emmys in 1967 for China, The Roots of Madness, and in 1969 for The Making of the President, 1968. The Oscar-nominated 4 Days in November 1964 focused on Kennedy's assassination. Stewart's wife Roberta died last year. He survived by his 3 children, Catherine, Peter, and Andrew, and by 2 grandchildren. Mel Stewart, film director, born 2 September 1928, died on 9th August 2012. May his soul rest in peace. Stevens, American politician who served as a Republican U.S. Senator from Alaska. Stevens served in the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II. He graduated from the University of California at Los Angeles with a bachelor's degree in political science in 1947 and from Harvard Law School in 1950. After working for the Department of Interior 1956-61 in Washington, D.C., he moved to Anchorage, Alaska to practice law. He was twice defeated 1962 to 1968 in bids for the U.S. Senate. Elected to the Alaska State House of Representatives in 1964, he became Majority Leader in 1966. On December 24, 1968, he was appointed to the U.S. Senate to fill the seat left vacant by the death of Sen. E. L. Bartlett. After Allen claimed that he had paid for renovations to Stevens' home in Girdwood, Alaska, and even had provided workers for the job, Stevens was indicted in July 2008 for failing to disclose those gifts. The ensuing corruption trial cast a shadow not only on Stevens' own 2008 re-election campaign, which he lost, but also on the vice presidential campaign of Alaska Governor Sarah Palin, the running mate of Republican Sean John McCain in the 2008 presidential election. All the jurors returned a guilty verdict in Stevens' trial. In 2009, a federal judge overruled the conviction in prosecutorial misconduct. Stevens died after an airplane he was traveling in crashed. On August 9, 2010, he had survived the 1978 crash that killed his first wife. May his soul rest in peace. Carl Davis, successful record producer Carl H. Davis was born on September 19, 1934 in Chicago, Illinois, where his father was a postal worker. He attended McCosh Elementary School and Englewood High School. He later earned a GED in 1954 and an associate's degree from Cortez College of Business in 1957. Davis began his radio career typing playlists for popular Chicago disc jockey Al Benson on WGES radio in 1955. He quickly earned a reputation as a hit picker. His success allowed him to join the marketing department of Arnold Distributors. Davis was then hired by Brunswick Records when he produced Jackie Wilson's Higher and Higher and Barbara Ackland's Love Makes a Woman. After forming Atlantic's Darker Records, he produced The J Lights and Tryon Davis, Turn Back the Hands of Time and Can I Change My Mind? Davis had 8 grandchildren, lived in Chicago, and managed his own record label, Cheese Sound, until 2012. Davis passed away on August 9, 2012. May his soul rest in peace. At Hitchcock. Patricia Hitchcock O'Connell, who has died aged 93, has acting roles in 3 films directed by her father, Alfred Hitchcock, though she longed to appear in others. I would have loved it if he had believed in nepotism so I could have done more pictures with him, she said in 1997, but he only cast people if he thought they were absolutely right for the part. Auditions were modest. I wanted to act, but I never wanted to be a star, she said in 1984. I knew that stars aren't happy and it's darned hard work too. Her most memorable performance was in Strangers on a Train 1951. It was slyly funny of a father to cast her as Barbara, a young woman morbidly fascinated by murder, a chip of the whole old Hitchcock. In other words, at a party, she gazes from across the room in slow-dawning horror as the killer, Bruno Robert Walker, demonstrates to another guest his theory that strangulation is the ideal method of murder. Closing his hands around the throat, he glances up to see Barbara staring at him and is reminded immediately of the woman he has already killed. In his delusional state, he almost throttles the volunteer. Joseph predeceased her in 1994. She is survived by their daughters, Terry, Mary, and Katie, as well as by 6 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. Patricia Hitchcock O'Connell, actor, was born on 7th July 1928 and died on 9th August 2021. May her soul rest in peace.